Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of TCG Talk. Back today with another video and another deck tech. I decided I wanted to do some of a deck tech on the kind of combo slash, I guess, more aggro Viserai build that I'm starting to do now. This build I've been running for a few weeks now, and it's kind of a combination of Hamish from the UK Nats and Matt Rogers list, more so than Hamish, but I made a couple slight, like really slight alterations to what I'm running, particularly in the sideboard. And I'll get to that in a little bit. But I've been really enjoying this. I think Viserai is literally the most underutilized and underappreciated hero right now. And he's really good in the format. He's extremely versatile. You can do a lot of different things with him. And he plays really well against Briar. You can sub in blues, plays not really well, but really good into like the ice decks. It's really hard to stall him out with frostbites and stuff. And even some of his harder matchups like um, Bravo and Oldheim, he can kind of go over the top a little bit, go a little bit taller, hit a little bit harder in order to kind of even do well against those matchups. So beat both Bravo and Oldheim with this deck. But getting into the deck, we're running Rosetta Thorn. I had Reaping Blade in the sideboard, but I figured like the only hero I would run Reaping Blade against is Bolton, and even Bolton or like a heavy like fatigue matchup, it's still not as good as what you need to do with Rosetta Thorn. This deck's all about split damage, all about kind of forcing a lot of cards out of the opponent's hand in order to block even just medium level attacks. And Rosetta Thorn literally is built for that type of game plan. So when you take Rosetta Thorn out of this deck, it really affects the overall game plan you're trying to run, and it actually hurts you. And it's not really worth not letting a Bolton gain some life, which, in my opinion, you're going to beat Bolton anyway because you can race him and block pretty efficiently with this deck, especially with your equipment. For the equipment, I don't have Arcanite Skullcap, so I have Hope Merchant's Hood in here. Arcanite Skullcap obviously would be the headpiece. I just don't own one, so I'm not going to put it in here if I haven't played with it. But if you have Arcanite Skullcap, definitely use it. I run Hope Merchant's Hood just as a reset. Any Rune Blade deck, kind of the one vice of them sometimes is when you get the Dread 4 non-attack actions or the Dread, 4 attack actions, and you can't really combo like you want to. Hope Merchant's Hood helps reset that. In the sideboard, I'll run Crown Dichotomy as well for the mirror and for other arcane based matchups, and also have Null Rune Boots if I want to run double arcane against a Kano if someone gets frisky and runs Kano and Constructed. For chest and arm piece, pretty standard. Bloodshot Skeleton, Grasp the Arknight. Both of these is basically like your mini fridge that helps block. Skeleton's going to be really good for your Sonata turns or your Rattlebones turns or anything like that. To help with that out, and Grasp the Arknight, pretty obvious, right? These are used just efficiently for basically 6 block or 5 technically, because you don't want to block fully with Scalata because you'll pop it. And then Spellbound Creepers, similar to how Hamish is. If you go listen to his podcast with Push the Point, I think he talks about Spellbound Creepers and how you can throw your opponent off because your sequencing is different than it would be with Snapdragon Scalers. You play an attack, they let it go because maybe it's not that much damage. You Spellbound Creeper, Plunder Run, and you draw off of that, or you Spellbound Creeper, Mauve Skies to gain your action point back and then attack again, or you Spellbound Creeper, Rattlebones, or Mordred or anything, right? It's really good for that. I watched Hamish's game in the UK Nats, the one that was streamed, and he Spellbound Creeper his Rosetta Thorn with a Read the Runes. So he literally attacked once, attacked again with Rosetta Thorn, and then Spellbound Creeper Read the Runes. So he got to attack twice and with Thorn, and in his turn with 4 rune chance. So unreal. Spellbound Creepers is so good. It's better than Snapdragon Scalers for this type of deck, in my opinion. Getting into the deck, I run 27 attack actions and 24 non-attack actions, I think, in my core. So it's definitely it's sort of mid-rangey. It's an aggro-based build that can play mid-range. So that's why Viserai is so good, because you can kind of pivot on how you want to do things. I run Amplify the Arknight. I think this is one of the most underutilized cards in Viserai. If you're doing your rune chance properly, you're basically paying like 1 for 6 or 0 for 6 with this card, which is crazy. If you can combine that with a Plunder Run, all of a sudden you're hitting for 9 with like 3 or 4 rune chance, and it just gets pretty nutty. And Lightning Strike's a really good card. Obviously, it's just a staple with a lot of aggro decks. Mauve Skies, I run 8. I like what Hamish did. I was running 9, but I ran 8 just because you don't need that many Mauve Skies. You honestly could even once or twice sub out the red ones if you wanted to and just run 6. But I like try to give myself go again as much as humanly possible, so I'll run 8. Meet and greet is pretty stable with this deck. You will never sub out meet and greet ever. With any sideboard game plan, meet and greet is so pivotal for those Sonata turns. It's pivotal for natural go again because you're doing arcane pretty consistently and can create rune chance if it hits. Running meet and greet of blue and red is just a must. You have to run that. Same thing with Mordred. It's a must. Never take it out. It's one of the key cards in the deck. Helps create more rune chance. Plunder Run. I've seen some people run one Plunder Run, two Plunder Runs. I like running three reds just because I can use it with Spellbound Creepers pretty consistently. And I want to be able to either A, arsenal it for a big attack the next turn, or B, use it on Spellbound Creepers maybe twice a game if I'm lucky. So I want to try to present that as much as possible. Rattlebones is in the deck most of the time. Like 80 or 90% of the time. It's really good on, especially on the Sonata turns to bring things back from the grave. Right, you Sonata for let's say 8 cards. You keep 2 or 3 attacks. You play a Rattlebones for free. Bring 2 more attacks back from banish. Right, so now you're looking at like 5 attacks. And you can use one of the attacks that you just pulled with Sonata as pitch. It's just really useful for that, and you can play it at instant speed if you've dealt arcane damage, which is pretty nutty. You can play it off an attack to give your action point back. It's just really good. Sonata, some people have this in the sideboard. Again, it's like Mordred. If you're playing Viserai and you're not playing Sonata, I don't understand what you're doing. I really don't know when you sub this card out. It doesn't make sense. It takes away like one of Viserai's main abilities, which is crazy pivot turns. Rune Flash, huge card, right? Most of the time I'm playing this for free. It's 4 of Go again. So the ones that kind of you'll see sub in and out that I like to keep in are Spellblade Assault and Spellblade Strike. I love playing these cards off of Mauve Skies because you play Mauve Skies into like a red Spellblade Assault. You just create 3 rune chance. The card has Go again, and you can attack with Thorn again afterwards. If they let it hit, then all of a sudden you have like 6 rune chance. Basically, if you play a red Spellblade Soul or Spellblade Strike with a Mauve Skies, it forces the opponent to block. Like they have to block it out, which then sets up your next attack to basically get through for free damage. Become the Arc Knight. My targets usually with this are Read the Runes. Sonata obviously is a big one. Rattlebones I'll go get. If I have a Mauve Skies in hand, I'll go get Spellblade Assault. Things like that. Tome of the Arc Knight. This is the YOLO of the deck, right? Sometimes it whiffs, sometimes it don't. My suggestion would be with this, it may telegraph you a little bit on your turn, but it's not that big of a deal if you telegraph this card. Check your graveyard before you play this card. See where you're at with ratios. Me, I try to have an exact 30-30 split, but if a quarter of the way through the game, let's say I've played 10 attack actions and 3 non-attacks, you probably don't want to play Tome because you're probably going to whiff. Just that's the one thing I see a lot of like newer Viserai players not do is just check your graveyard before you play Tome. Or if you can keep a mental track of where you are with attack to non-attack actions, it's really good. Dread Triptych, I'm not as high on this card as other people are. It's still a really good card. It's a card you're going to include in your deck. It's a blue pitch block 3. You can create up to 4 rune chance. If you have a Mordred, it can create up to 8 rune chance. So it's really good, but it takes a lot of setup. It's really useful mostly on the Sonata turns. But yeah, I'm not as high on it as other people. So it's about a 52-53 card core, and then in the sideboard I have Amplify the Arc Knight. I love this at blue. At worst it's a blue pitch block for 3, but it also is really good because if you're managing your rune chance properly, best case scenario, you're still playing a 0 cost card for 4 attack. Really good for that, especially if you plunder run it right. 7. Command and Conquer, I only run 2. I'm trying not to run a lot of attacks that don't give me rune chance. So I try to limit that to 2. Comes in the Prism matchup, comes in a Lexi matchup, anything that needs to challenge the arsenal. Consuming Volition, basically put this in against any aggro deck to try to get them to discard cards, get cards out of their hand. Ninth Blade of the Blood Oath, you're playing this against Prism. Or if you get perfectly, you can set this up on a Sonata turn to attack for a lot. Read the Runes, I had 2 in here. You could honestly put him 2 or 1. I don't want to have 2 in my deck. I don't want this card coming up unless I'm searching for it with Become the Arc Knight more times than not. You honestly can maybe take out one other card. It'd be really hard to what I would replace it with. I'd probably take out Rattlebones and switch it with a Read the Runes. Maybe you only use Rattlebones on your pivot turn. Go search for it with Become the Arc Knight. Basically 1 or 2 Read the Runes. Use these against like a Bravo or against someone you want to go tall with. Push a little bit more extra damage on. It's really good for that. You can use it with Spellbound Creepers really well. Oath the Arknight, I only run 2 of them. It's a pitch blue block for 3. It can create a rune champ. You'll rarely ever play this card. Um, and then my defensive package for like Bravo and Oldheim and anybody that's trying to go tall and give me a lot on hit effects. Sink Blow and Reduce the Rune Chant. I don't use Sigil of Suffering. It's not as applicable with this deck. I'd rather be able to either A, cycle a card, or B, create another Rune Chant, so it's really useful for that. And then Gorganian Tome is really useful as well. It's just don't play it in the mirror or in. I mean, you could, but there's a chance they could draw 2 cards on you, which is pretty nutty. So yeah, that's mainly what I'm doing. This is my core. This is my sideboard. It just depends on who you're playing against. Um, Another reason I like Amplify the Arknight is because it's good against Prism naturally. It's got a 6 power attack to help blow their Phantasm. So against Prism, you're arguably running 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 attacks, right, that can pop their Phantasm, which is pretty insane. And it's just really useful for that. But yeah, this whole deck is based on Spellbound Creepers. It's based on split damage with Rosetta Thorn and just putting your opponent in a lot of weird situations. Even something like a Rosetta Thorn, you attack for 1 resource. Let's say you have 3 rune chants built up. You're attacking for 2, 2, and 3. So in order for them to block out a 1-cost attack weapon that's hitting for 7, they have to use 3 cards from hand. So it's pretty nuts. So you're almost guaranteed to get damage with Rosetta. Just a really good deck all in all. I'm really enjoying it. I'm going to keep tinkering with it, keep moving it around. It all depends on, how the meta shakes out, especially with Everfest. Hopefully we get some new toys with Runeblade, which some people will be very upset about. Yeah, this is the deck that I'm using right now. This is the deck I'm going to take to armories and local events. The Pro Quest, right now, if I had to give an opinion, I'm probably taking Viserai. Next would be Katsu, but probably Viserai. But yeah, let me know what you think of the deck. I really enjoy it. I would love to hear other Viserai aficionados give me their opinions on how they're doing their decks. Viserai is such a good hero. The one thing I want to say, if you're still watching about Viserai and you're thinking about playing him, he takes time. Like, you have to play Viserai so much longer than most decks in order to understand play patterns, understand lines, understand how to tempo. He rewards people who stick it out. If you play Viserai for like a week, and you're not gonna learn the deck like you should, and then you won't see its true potential, which is why I think Viserai is really underutilized, because a lot of people don't understand that it takes a while to play him to figure him out. But yeah, let me know what you think. If you like it, leave a like, comment, subscribe. Go to another creator as well. Do the same thing for them so we can get more people seeing and playing this game. We're at 232 subscribers. Unreal. I really appreciate y'all so much in every comment, every like, every view. It's awesome. Yeah, I hope y'all have a good rest of your weekend, and I will see you all next time on TCG Talk. Thank y'all so much.